right now by the new BTC middleweight champion, Jeffery, who's coming off a really impressive win over Jo Vallee at BTC 5 Typhoon on March 9th. Aaron, how are you, man?
I'm awesome, James. How are you?
I'm doing great. I know you just finished up training. How was training this morning?
It's good. It's good to be back. I got a few sessions in last week, but coach has always kind of kicked me out of the gym a little bit, so back to full time now.
And let's talk about the fight where you captured the title. Like I mentioned off the top, BTC 5. What was the game plan heading into the fight, and do you feel like you executed it?
Yeah, I think it went perfectly. We knew he kind of slowed down in the later rounds in some of his last fights. Um, and I could see he was a little bit kind of weaker, like in the wall wrestling department. So the game plan was just to push him on the wall, grind him out, wear down the body, and then start to open up in the later rounds. I think it went perfectly.
As the fight was going on, were you worried you weren't going to get the finish? Because then it was a later finish, and I know sometimes as the fight's happening, you're like, I don't know if I'll get that opening.
Yeah, I wouldn't say worried. I think I got a little bit complacent at some point, and it was pretty slow. And I honestly think it was probably a pretty boring fight until the finish. But I was kind of okay with just grinding and getting the W. But yeah, I saw some openings, so I took it.
How did you celebrate after the fight?
Just went back to the hotel, chilled with the boys, had a few drinks.
Yeah,
Couple
nothing
too
crazy
many,
because
maybe.
Windsor, we know how Windsor is, right? You can't. It's not too much going on there at
Yeah,
night, and you
no,
don't want to be down
I
there too long. So,
just stayed in the hotel, didn't get into too much trouble.
right, yeah, no, that sounds good. And then of course the big news after this fight, you signed with Dodge Sports. Matt Dodge, one of the best managers out there, doing some really great things. Has a couple, fighters, notable fighters, Andre Ewell, and many others under the banner. How did this all come together?
So he had signed a couple guys from our gym already, Anthony Romero, Adrian Valaka, and Jazz Devicius, the female amateur fighter. And me and him had spoken before, and I think he just wanted to see how this fight went for me before making any decisions, and it went well. So we spoke, and it seemed like a good fit.
What I really like about him is that he is focusing on some of the Canadian fighters, because a lot of the
Yeah.
Canadian fighters that you see signed, a lot of them aren't signed with American promoter or managers. It's usually just sort of the homegrown stuff. What's sort of his vision with you? I imagine I would think after this win, Contender Series is something you're probably going to look to try and get on.
Yeah, that's something we talked about. I think he said there's some fights for Contender Series happening in June. So he's going to talk to some people and see if we can make that happen, which would be pretty cool.
Well, and I think the timing's good too, man. Middleweight's one of those divisions where, you just see there's not a ton of prospects out there. And I think sort of the timing of you coming through, I think isn't bad. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was like the smartest career move I ever made was going up to middleweight. I was worried about it at first, but I mean, it's kind of a shallow division, so it's working out pretty well so far.
And, I don't know if this matters to you or not, but your only career loss is to Sean Brady, and Sean just got signed to the UFC. Does that kind of make
Yeah.
that loss a little bit better, knowing that at least, the one loss is to a guy that's in the UFC now?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it too much, but people have been saying that, so I guess it does mean something, so that's good.
Yeah, and I should mention that was at welterweight. Now you're middleweight now, sort of
Yeah,
going into that
yeah,
figure.
yeah.
Everything like that. Is the plan right now? I mean, we're talking right here. It's almost the end of March. Are you looking to get one more fight in there and then maybe look at Contender Series, or do you just want to wait out and see what happens? What opportunities are there?
Yeah, BTC's having another event June 1st, which is a quick turnaround, which I think will be perfect for me. So if I can kind of use that training camp for the BTC fight and then possibly Contender Series right after, I think that'd work out perfectly.
Okay. Any opponents in mind yet, or are they still looking for that?
No, I have no idea. Like, I don't even know who fights at middleweight in Canada, if there's even anyone left, or if they're going to have to bring in guys from the States or wherever. I don't know. You probably know better than me. You usually
Well,
do.
yeah. I'm trying to see who's out there as far as Canadians. Yeah, you're right. I think it's pretty slim pickings at this point in terms of some of the guys out there. Now, as far as training and everything like that, I know you've done a bit of cross training. I know you work a little bit with Elias, and I know Julian LeBlanc works with him as well. Have you? Is the plan to do more cross training just in the interim while you're waiting for a fight?
For sure. Yeah, I'll get in as much work as I can with Elias. I actually talked to Jo Vallee a little bit. I fought like a couple of those French guys now, so possibly go down there and train with them if there's no hard feelings. And with Brock University, they're like one of the best wrestling teams in Canada. So I'm
I've
gonna get in
heard
as
that,
much.
yeah, from a lot
Yeah,
of different people. I hear that just that leaps and bounds in terms of the growth with the wrestling program that they have there.
absolutely. So I'm gonna get out there as much as I can too.
Okay. So you mentioned you got back to training today. What did sort of the post fight look like? Did you get to enjoy yourself, take some time off, things like that?
I was back in the gym last week, just kind of moving around and like staying somewhat fresh. Yeah, nothing too exciting. Eating lots of shitty food and getting a little bit fat.
Right, but I mean, people should know. I mean, you're Mr. Nutrition, so I mean,
Yeah,
it's pretty easy for you to kind of keep the weight in
yeah,
check, right? So
yeah. Most of the time, do as I say, not as I do.
yeah, no, for sure. And just how much does it mean to get to compete for BTC? They've done a really good job over the last 2 years, really developing fighters, especially the Ontario fighters. Because one of the things that drives me nuts when people talk about Canadian MMA is they say, "Oh, the talent just isn't the same." I think the talent is the same. I just think the opportunities aren't there. And credit to Rob Vevers and everyone else at BTC for really kind of putting you guys on the map a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. They're doing lots of cool stuff. Like they treat us like we're UFC fighters. Like they give us awesome hotel rooms. The belt that they gave me is awesome. The big trophy, like the shows are great. Yeah, it's nice to fight for a promotion that feels like they really care about the fighters. It's cool.
So what is on the Aaron Jeffery like cheat meal list after the fight? Like I'm sure you've been visualizing things like in camp, and then you actually got to indulge
Yeah,
after the fight.
yeah, yeah. I got a mean sweet tooth. I'm cookies, brownies, cereal. Ate a nice box of Oreo O's cereal, some Captain Crunch, some Fruit Loops. That's my go-to.
Good stuff, man. Well, we're looking forward to your return. Hopefully it is in June. If not, hopefully we'll see you on Contender Series. Great win again, Aaron. Great catching up with you,
Thank
man.
you.
Just
Thank you.
remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you got any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours, man.
Okay, I'm at AAJ MMA, and my nutrition consulting business is at Jeffery Nutrition. Yeah, just thanks to teammates, coaches, friends, family, everyone who supports me along the way.